and it took my life apart, or my view on life. I was a scientist, still am, right? But this is how I saw the world. This is science, and show me what I can measure, what I can prove, what I can repeat, what I can predict.
Yeah.
And with that mindset, with that education and approach to life, I had my first near-death experience, and I could not put it together.
Welcome to the place where we hear empowering stories of transformation and then we turn that into art that reminds us to be great. I am your host and artist, Jessica James, and this is the I Empower Podcast. Thank you so much, Dr. Petra, for being with us today. I'm really excited to talk to you and hear all of the incredible things that you are doing to help people. I always like to tell my listeners and my followers where I find my guests, and you actually reached out to me on Instagram and shared a little bit of what you're doing, and I think it is beautiful. I'm intrigued. I'm ready to hear it. So I will have you introduce yourself.
First of all, thanks for having me. Thank you that you responded. And it was very kind from the very beginning, right?
Yes.
And I feel that's important to us.
Aww.
So by education, I'm a scientist and engineer. And this is where I started my professional career. And through, life lessons, hard-learned life lessons, I changed my entire career, and my life turned upside down after 3 near-death experiences. And I had to accept, and I really mean I had to accept, that there's more than science can explain. And I really struggled with that. And now I'm an intuitive scientist, and I help people using both the analytical knowledge, the analytical approach, and also my intuition and what's written in my client's soul plan. I think that's the combination that I'm using now. And this is, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you are from originally Germany and you grew up in Switzerland, is that correct?
Born and raised in Germany, and as an adult we moved to Switzerland, and we lived quite some time in Switzerland, and in 2014 we moved to the USA. It was for my husband's work, and I followed him. And now we are both here.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I'm always intrigued as to what brings people to the States. And so I hear a lot of jobs does that. And so it's amazing that you're here. But you mentioned that you had some near-death experiences that really kind of changed your life, changed your view on things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. And it took my life apart, or my view on life. I was a scientist, still am, right? But this is how I saw the world. This is science, and show me what I can measure, what I can prove, what I can repeat, what I can predict.
Yeah.
And with that mindset, with that education and approach to life, I had my first near-death experience, and I could not put it together. I really didn't understand. I knew what I had experienced, and I knew it was real. But since I couldn't explain it, I could not make sense of it. I didn't talk about it because I was so scared. Yeah. If I cannot make sense out of it, how could other people make that, right? So I didn't talk about it, and this internal friction, it ate me up, right? I didn't know what to do, and I had changed without realizing that I had changed so much, and I couldn't comprehend the message that I had received. I didn't know what to do with it. And after 6 years, we've been at a point where my husband said to me, something has to change. So, because I had changed so much. And then this was the moment that I started talking about it. I talked to my husband completely in fear. And by that time, I had 3 near-death experiences already, right? One should think I was used to it. I got used to it, but I wasn't. So
Yeah.
then I shared with him what I had experienced. And to my complete surprise, he reacted very different than I had expected. He said, okay, if this is what you've experienced, what you've been through, let's work with that. And this was such a relief. And I think this was the turning point in my life, from being really, really down, not being able or willing to understand what had happened, to finally open up, talk about it, and obey to the tasks I had received. Right.
Yeah.
Those experiences came with important messages. And the first one, and you see me being still, after so many years, being still very emotional about that. The first message I had received, amongst other insights, was the world needs to know. And I couldn't understand, because it was not in alignment with my belief system at the time. I did want to hide, right? Only hide. Don't force me, but it was a force. And the world needs to know. And I think this was one of the reasons why I reached out to you, to fulfill what I'm supposed to do here on earth, right? The world needs to know. And for me, to talking about the experiences and the messages that came along. And the second message that I received was that there is no fear needed, right? We don't have to fear. We are not put on earth to live in fear. We are supposed to live in love and focus on love and spread and share the love. And the third message is that with great wisdom comes great responsibility. So to accept that responsibility and to live the love and to live the life we are meant to live, right? In alignment with our soul's plan. That's the important messages. And that's what I really want to do. And what I'm doing right now is helping my clients, myself, my family, my loved ones, and my clients, of course, to live in alignment with their soul's plan and to stop fighting that monster, whatever that monster is in their life, and instead fighting for love, health, happiness, peace, success.
I love that. It's so interesting to me. So you know, being with science, you know, that was your life. That was your everything that you knew. Everything is very analytical. Like you said, if you can't, you know, I need to see the receipts for this. Like, show me this. This is concrete. And so I could imagine that living, you know, possibly, and I'm speaking for you when I say this, your whole life, you know, living in that mindset and then having these experiences, I could imagine that it was just like mind-blowing as well as confusing. And you're like, what do I do with this information? And so when you had your last experience, was that the break, like the point in your life where you're like, okay, something has to change. Like, I need to accept what it is that I'm feeling and what it is that I'm seeing and the experiences that I have. Was that the moment for you when you made that decision to just kind of really shift your life's purpose?
It was shortly after my third near-death experience. It was the moment when I talked to my husband. And when I had that experience that it was safe to open up, right? It was my husband, and that's why it was safe, but I feared the conversation with him so much. So if I could have that conversation and still being safe, that was the moment, right, where my internal life shifted. To come out of my closet, or however you want to call it, it took me many more years to do that, right? And going back, in memory, as a little girl, as a little child, I saw angels and I talked to angels, and I thought that's what's normal, what everyone would do, right? I didn't know any better until I learned that not everyone does that. So, and I had to stop. Growing up in that family and that society, people didn't want to hear that. At least this was my impression, right? They couldn't handle me with the angels and all that quote unquote stuff. So I stopped doing that, and at least I stopped talking about it. And then the 3 near-death experiences later, after my studies and being a scientist and engineer, then I opened up to my husband, and I survived that, quote unquote, right? I had survived 3 times that I was so sick, being closer to the other side than being here. But what scared me so much was the reaction or rejection of people. And again, many years later, I had a client, and she was phenomenal, and she made me promise to write a book about our work we had done. And I think this was the next kick in my back. So my husband always encouraged me to do what I had to do because it made sense to him, maybe more than it did to me. He had seen how I've changed. And with that client making me promise to write the book, I did it. I wrote my first book. And another event, so maybe my life goes in 3, so I don't know. Another event caught me into publicly speaking about what I had experienced. And I felt at that moment I was tricked into that situation. I was invited to a group about near-death experiences, and I attended that meeting, and I had not realized that I was the speaker for that event. As I had arrived there and I wanted to take a seat amongst the other people, the leader of the group said, "Oh, that's your seat. You are the speaker today." And I think those 3 situations together, right? They changed it. Yeah. So the universe really wants me to accept that responsibility.
That's so interesting. Your story kind of reminds me of a guest that I had in season 1 who, as a child, would see energy and see, I mean, however you want to put it, if it's angels, it's energy, it's, people. And so, I was always intrigued with, she does energy healing as well. And I see that that's something that you do. Tell me about that. What does that have, like, how does that work?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat that? What is that?
No, it's okay. You do energy healing, right? Is that part of your practice?
That is correct.
Can you tell me about that?
To me, it seems pretty simple. It might be too simple, right? My view on this is we are all energy. Everything is energy. And transforming the energy for the higher good, for the higher purpose, for that particular client. This is how I see it, right? And for me, being that translator or that missing link between the healing energy that's provided from the universe, or however you want to call that, to transform that in a form and doses that the client needs and can accept. Right? That's what I do as an energy healer. It goes, mainly the energy goes through me. Sometimes I'm allowed to also give my energy or part of my energy into that cocktail. Oftentimes it's not me.
That's incredible. I'm so interested in this type of work because for a really long time, it didn't, I knew that things was, in school, you learn everything has energy, the body, and through, I've said this before on the podcast, working with chiropractors, they talked a lot about how the body is on energy, runs on energy, like we are energy. And so if there are things that are blocked or there are things that are, preventing that energy flow from moving freely like it needs to. And so it's so interesting to me that we can transfer our energy from one person to another. And so you have the scientific background to understand that. But for somebody with my mind, it's crazy to me to think that that's how that we can do that. Can you explain that to me?
I'm not sure if I can explain that because to me it sometimes feels also crazy, especially long distance healing, right? Especially long distance healing.
Yeah.
How can I explain that to myself? This is the ripple effect, I think is what we use, right? And oh my gosh, I'm missing that word right now. There is a specific term. Oh, I'm so sorry. That
It's okay.
scientific term, maybe it comes back to me. But the butterfly effect, right? If we change something in a very far country, we still feel the effect around the globe. And that's what I think what it is, right? If we set an intention and shift the energy to someone or something, doesn't matter how far away or how close we are, that has an effect.
Yeah.
And especially, if I'm correct, especially China did a lot of research on that word that I'm missing here. Sorry, I have to look this up.
Yeah, it's okay. It'll come back to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, blacked out. Sorry.
It's okay. That's incredible. I did an energy healing session with a medium once, and I again knew nothing about how this works, but I was interested in trying it. I had she does trauma healing with energy work, and I had no questions, beforehand. I was like, all right, let's just do it. And then when I signed up for it, I was like, how do you do this? She's in California and I'm in North Carolina. And I was like, how in the world are you going to do this? And she was like, energy can, I tap into that energy and you are open to it and it works. And I'm telling you, when I did that session, I went in slightly skeptical, but I tried to have an open mind. But I definitely felt there was definitely some stuff going on. I don't know how to explain it. Like you said, a lot of things don't have words for. We don't have words for, but I love that this is how our earth is, how our world is that everything runs on energy. And then also like that law of attraction. There's some scientific evidence that backs law of attraction. If we put that intuition out into the universe, it will, it'll come back to us. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
so
even if
interesting.
we cannot explain it yet, maybe there will be an explanation sooner or later, that quote unquote stuff works, right? So as you said, the law of attraction, what we send out, it's like a magnet, right? This is what we attract to us. And what we focus on, this is what grows, right? And when we focus on the monster, whatever that monster is, illness, addiction, a bad job, whatever that situational monster is right now, if we focus on that, we give our energy to that negative thing in our life. And this is what gets our attention and nourishment. And when we shift our attention, we shift our energy and focus on what we want to have, what we want to nurture, right? Then this is what gets the nourishment and attention and love and care and can grow. So I think that shift
Yeah.
from fighting against something to fighting for something. This is what helps us to step in our power. And right, your podcast is I Am Power. And yes, when we use our power in the right direction, then we are successful.
I love that. Yeah, because I've said before on the podcast, like having the ability and experience of talking to such a variety of amazing women who have all of this knowledge and life experience, I feel like, being in that environment helps me as well step into my own power, and being in this moment with you and feeling, what you have to say about all this. I just think it's incredible. How the world works, how the universe works. So as having that scientific background and then turning that into the spirituality that you now know, how are you using the two of those in your practice to help people? And what can we do to use that to help ourselves?
I think one of the first and very important things is what you earlier said, right? Approach it with an open mind. And depending on where my client is in that particular situation, if it's more a analytical, number-oriented person, we meet there, right? And we walk that journey together towards more spirituality and energy work. If I have a very spiritual person, we add the scientific approach because it's and A and D. It's not or, right? It's not one or the other. It's that comprehension,
Right.
that marriage, that being together, yin and yang, that bridging. I think that's very important. And to meet my clients where they are and to be as a team and go together and integrate both. I think that's very important. And how is this possible? Only with trust, right? When we trust, what I did lack in my younger years a lot, I didn't trust what I had experienced. But when we can trust that even though we cannot explain it yet, that it's still there, if we can trust, even though we can't see it, but we can experience the results, then we can do the healing process, right? We cannot see electricity, but we see the results. We couldn't see, many years ago, we couldn't see atoms and molecules, yet they existed, right? And with that trust, even though we cannot see it right now, it's still there and it works for us if we use it in our power and for the highest good. That trust, that gets us far, really far.
Yeah. Most definitely. So, in the type of practice that you do and the message that you're trying to spread far and wide, what would you say to somebody that, is maybe interested in some of the work that you're doing, but doesn't necessarily find themselves spiritual, or they're kind of in that weird place where they're like, I don't really know that there's more. They just feel like this is what it is because I can see it, I can feel it. I know that you mentioned trust, but from your experience of being very analytical and very scientific, shifting that to what you know and what you feel now, how would you say that to somebody? How would you help somebody like that?
My recommendation is go a little further than you feel is safe for you. Push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. If you don't feel that's right for you, don't jump initially, right? Yet give yourself permission to step out of your comfort zone, because this is where happiness, success, and growth happens. Inside of our comfort zone, we remain where we are, right? And trust your inner voice. And to trust that inner voice is not easy. It's possible. I'm not saying it's easy, because we need to be quiet inside of us to be able to hear that inner voice and to quiet that inner chatter. I think that's one of the first steps, right? To really calm down and come to peace, which I know it's not easy. But when we focus on love, loving life, loving ourselves, which I think is the hardest part of that, right? It's easier to love other people, to love our pets. Yes.
Someone else. Yeah.
But if we can commit to loving life, that quiets that inner chatter already. And then we are able to listen and hear that inner voice and following that inner guidance. That's our soul speaking to us.
Hello, beautiful. I just wanted to pop in here really quick and remind you that if you love what you're hearing and you want to hear more of it, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss next week's episode of I Empower. And if you're feeling extra generous and you would like to give us a review, we would greatly appreciate it. Those help bump us in the algorithm so that more people are able to find these empowering stories to help them. Also, don't forget to check out the art that goes along with today's episode. You can do so at iempower.club or on Instagram at IEmpowerClub. And if you personally feel connected to the story and the art and you would like to purchase a limited edition print that goes along with it, you can do so on our website. As a reminder, all of the art sales go to support the podcast and help us continue this mission each week of bringing you empowering stories. All right, back to the show.
And the soul knows.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, because, the older that I get and the more, experience, and again, having the opportunity to speak with people like you, it really makes us stop and try to realize that there is more to life than just waking up every day and going to your job, punching that clock, coming home, doing your mundane things that you do around the house. But that's really like something that I think that I wish for everyone, because I have that like spark inside me now where I'm like, okay, what else is out there? There's got to be more than this. And so did you ever have that experience where you were like, there has to be more?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's that passion, right? That inner fire. And when we can kindle that spark, then we follow our life's path. And I've worked with many people that are really, really successful and still unhappy. Why is that, right? When you look from the outside, you think they have everything you could wish for. They are healthy, they have a nice family, they have an amazing business, they have financial abundance, and they are still not happy. Why is that? When we are not living in alignment with our soul's plan, we are not happy because we are not in alignment, not fulfilled. And shifting that according to the soul's roadmap, that gives that passion, that love, that energy, and that fulfillment, right? And helping people so first of all, and I think that's what my clients and I need to emphasize all the time, I do not work with a soul without having permission. So the first thing I do always is asking the other soul for permission to connect. If this is a no, there's no negotiation. That's a no, right? And if it's a yes, we connect.
Yeah.
And then I'm allowed to read that other person's soul plan. And translating that, sharing that with my clients, what's their soul here to do, right? Then we can, very often it needs big shifts, but more often it needs tiny adjustments to live in alignment with that soul's roadmap. And this opens up for power, success, and happiness and health.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ah, yes. That's a very important part of the puzzle is health as well. Oh, yes. That's beautiful. So how would somebody know that they would need some kind of what you have to offer, the type of service that you have to offer? What would make someone say, I need to go and do that?
I think the strongest indicator are health problems. Because I see the human being as a system out of 4 compartments: body, mind, soul, and spirit. And if somewhere in that system is something out of balance, it's always the body that communicates, because this is a language we understand, right? We understand pain, we understand illness. And if that something out of balance is in the physical system, treat that. If there's something out of balance in one of the other elements, mind, soul, and spirit, it's still the body giving us symptoms, right? And when we understand that and rebalance what's out of balance, the body's job of giving us symptoms is done and we can heal. So the first indicator is if someone struggles with health issues. I once was diagnosed with 5 different autoimmune diseases within 1 year. It was a horrible time. I was in so much pain and difficult situation. So stepping into my power and living in alignment with my soul, I would say I've healed those autoimmune diseases. I'm not taking any medication anymore. So that's the first thing, right? Cancer, for instance, infertility, addiction, any kind, if it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex addiction, workaholics. Those are symptoms that we are not living in alignment with our soul's plan. And if people struggle, if they are not happy, I would say consider that. And reach out, ask for help,
most
right?
definitely. And then ask for help. And so you can work with people from all over, right? Do you do in-person work or do you do both? How does that work? So if there's anyone out there listening that's like, you know what, I'm interested, let me take a look at this.
Yeah. I have clients all over the world, and I think I've been using Zoom, and I felt nobody else knew about Zoom as I already used it.
You were already doing it. You're like, I'm on it.
I'm not tech savvy, not at all, but this was technology. Sorry. To work wherever we are. And I also do in-person sessions. And it's up to my clients, right? It depends where they live and what they choose. Meet in person or work via Zoom.
I love that. That is just, with the technology that we have now and the ability to just, you can help so many more people. And I'm a huge fan of the telehealth industry because I didn't like to leave my house to begin with before all this happened, before COVID, but more so now. So it's just nice to be able to, you can have your doctor right there on your screen who can help you in the comfort of your own home. I think that's incredible. Yeah. And so you have wrote 2 books. You mentioned you mentioned one with your client's story. So tell me about your books and where can we find those?
You can find them everywhere where you find books, right? In bookstores, Barnes and Noble, for instance, on Amazon as well. So the first book is Your Script for Hope. And as I mentioned, it's mainly about clients' stories and what's possible, what we can do with the work we are able to do when we step in our power, right? And it's not me healing anyone.
Yeah.
It's me guiding people to use their inner power, to harness their power of the mind and kind of course correct to alignment, living with their soul's plan. And this is what I think what we call miracle healings, because we can't explain them.
Yeah.
Right? And the second book I wrote is about relationships. It's called Your Script for Intimacy. And it's building close and intimate relationships with your partner and especially with yourself. And I think that's kind of the foundation of all relationships, right? Relationship to our body. The body is the home of our soul, in my belief system at least. And when we have a good relationship with ourselves and we honor our body, we improve our health. And our partner is so important. If you have a partner, it's very important. Appreciate and honor that, right? And make the quality of the relationship even better. If you are looking to find that partner, start with yourself. And as we said earlier, right, it's the law of attraction. What we send out, this is what we attract. And yeah, it also refers to case studies. And yeah, it's the relationship, it's focus and fighting for love.
That's incredible. Yeah, I love how you say that everything has to start within ourselves. And you mentioned the body healing itself, that it's not necessarily you doing, it's you helping that person heal themselves. And I think that that's such an important, take back from today's episode, is that we are capable of doing everything that we need on our, within ourselves. Like everything that we need is here. As far as healing, our minds and healing our souls and healing our bodies, we have that. Sometimes we just need tools to help us and guide us in the right direction. But, scientifically, the body is an incredible organism that is self-healing. So I think that it's important that a lot of people realize that. And like you said, it's sometimes we just need that help to do that. And then we have those miracle moments.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I love the body and that approach, but I'm very much focused on the brain, the mind and the brain, right? And if we can heal the mind, we heal the brain, and the brain commands the body, so we heal the body. So I really like to say, don't listen to your brain, make your brain listen to you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
The brain commands the body, right? The signals the brain sends to the body, this is what we experience, what manifests. And if the brain has not the correct guidance, the brain runs more or less on autopilot and does what it thinks is best for us. But if we step into that power and give proper orders to the brain will command the body. And that shift, right, to be in that power and accept that responsibility. I'm not saying it's all in your mind, right? That's not what I mean. But this is extremely powerful. And when we use the power that we have within us, when we probably shift the mindset, when we adjust the mindset and shift how we command the brain, how we talk to ourselves, what we focus on, this is what we will see in our bodies and in our lives.
Yeah. Oh man, that is such great advice. I think what you're doing is incredible. I think you took your really tough situations, your near-death experiences, and the incredible message that you got from that, and just really embrace that and using it to help others realize their full potential. I think it's beautiful. I do have a question that I would like to ask you. If you could say, what would be the best piece of advice that you would say to a younger version of yourself who is in the thick of struggle, if you had a few moments with them?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think what I would say is, don't be scared. That invisible monster that you are so fearful of, this is what you've created in your head. So get up, get out of your comfort zone, and bravely do what you're supposed to do here. Trust, step in your power, and live your life with love.
Oh, I think that's my favorite part. Live your life with love. That is something that I think everyone could definitely take away from today's episode. You have such a beautiful message. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Would you have is there any specific piece of advice that you would say to anybody who may be teetering on that, that board, or I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but like, just kind of like, I feel like I need a change. I feel like, I don't know, I'm really comfortable with where I'm at. Like, would you have any advice for someone who just feels like there's more that needs to be done? Like, what steps can we take to do that?
It's never too late. Wherever you are in your life, it's never too late. And I think it's worth to approach change, right? That still stand is what I don't think is healthy for all of us here, right? Be curious, find out what else is available. It's never too late, and learn new things. Be open and nurture your curiosity.
Yes. Oh, it's never too late. I feel like that is such an important message as well. Oh my gosh, you're full of great advice. I just love it. I do have one question that I do like to ask all of my guests, which is my favorite question, and we'll just jump right into it if you're ready. We like to talk about stepping into our own power here on the show, which we've said a lot today. How would you describe, or what would you think of the type of power that you try to step into every day?
It's the power of love. Love is extremely powerful. And yes, life gets in the way, right? It's so easy to be discouraged. And to step into that power, that love is my motivation and my guiding force. It's a decision, right? Living in love is a decision. It's not simply there, or we cannot just wait until love arrives. This is what we have to decide for and to create. That's the most powerful thing, I think. And the most important thing in life is love.
Yeah. When you say love, do you mean love in the terms of all around ourselves, other people? Is it just like is it an embodiment of an emotion? Explain that to me, because when I think of, we always say loving ourselves is probably one of the hardest things to do, but loving other people is a little bit easier. But then do we really truly love people? Like, explain that to me when you say love, because I feel like it's such an important message.
To me, it's that unconditional love, right? Giving that energy, that vibration, and not expecting something in return. That is what I mean by love. Yes, there are situations that make me angry. Yes, there are situations that make me disappointed. How I react to that, this is what I can control, right? If I have that outburst or whatever reaction I present, this is what I can control. And love is extremely powerful. And stepping into that power and react based on love. And sometimes the biggest love that we can share is telling a person, hey, stop. This is not the right approach. Even saying stop, coming from a place of love, is saying stop, but the intention is the good one, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's tough, right?
Yeah,
I know
that's great.
it's not
It
easy.
is tough.
And this is even I think the saying, how we word it, if you say it's tough, we focus on that whatever we do is tough. If we say it's not easy, the mind hears, the brain hears it's easy. So we're making it a little bit lighter, easier for ourselves.
Yeah.
So
right. Also, kind of like those affirmations,
yes.
like speaking those things that you know, that will help you. You know, I'm a person full of love, you know, would be a good one, I would think. But yeah, like, I think, like you said, it's such an important place to be and way to feel and energy to have. I know that sometimes, and I know there may be some people that would hear this and be like, this is crazy, but like, because I feel like we miss that trust. Like, we're so afraid and so guarded. And so that's why we hold our love in. I know that's a lot of the reasons why I hold mine in sometimes, is because I am fearful of being hurt, you know, that sort of thing. But like you said, if you just like let it go and let it be, like, I can imagine, you know, there's definitely some more love that I got to start giving out. I feel like I'm a very loving person, but after talking to you, I'm like, yeah, there's definitely a whole lot more that I could give, and releasing that energy and having that trust.
Absolutely.
Like you said.
And when you,
very good
I
message.
understand that, right? And if you had told me 40 years ago, I would have said, nonsense, right?
Whatever.
But trained by life, going through that experience, if you think about that, I don't know anything about you and your life, but I assume I've never met anyone who had not bad experiences, who was not hurt. So assuming you've been hurt in your life as well. And when you share the love, yes, it makes you vulnerable. But how much pain have you been through already, and you survived? You are here. So that hurt, or that rejection that would hurt, you can survive that, right? If people are not ready or not willing to receive your love, my love, I can survive that. Yes, that's a hurtful moment.
Yeah.
But it's worth the effort. Right? So, yeah.
Most definitely. I think that is, I love, again, we're just full of love today. That's such a great message. I know personally I am going to take what you said and really try to apply that to my life, because I see the benefits in that. And I feel like if you're, you know, willing and open to being a loving person and have that energy, that it's going to start making a whole lot of things a lot better. So
correct. And we don't
thank you
know,
for sharing that.
right? We don't know what's the impact on the other person. When we focus on what might come back to us, rejection, hurt, yeah, we are focused on us. But when we focus on what it might mean to the other person, we have no idea. Maybe that's what that person needs right now, right? That loving smile, that unconditional, I don't want anything in return. I'm not expecting it, but giving generously, that kind word, that helping hand, whatever that might be, and how little it might be. We don't know the impact on the person, and we also don't know the ripple effect. Love is contagious in a good way.
Right. Yes. Yes. And I think, you know, too, it's one of those feelings, like if you give it out, you're automatically going to feel good that you did that internally. Like I wasn't, you know, it makes yourself feel good. Yeah. And like you said, you don't know that impact that it's going to make on someone else. And it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's a renewable resource. So like you can keep giving it. You're never going to run out of it. So I love that. That's a great way to look at it. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Petra, for being on today. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I will make sure that I link all of your social medias below, or your social media and your website. And that way, anybody who would like to give you a follow through your incredible practice. And of course, if they want to reach out to you, and then check out her books, she's full of amazing and beautiful wisdom. So thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks a lot, and keep doing your amazing work. Thank you.
I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I want to thank my guests again for sharing their incredible story of transformation with us. I have linked their social medias below in the show notes so that you can give them a follow through their journey. Also, don't forget to check out the art that goes along with each week's episode at iempower.club. If you personally feel connected to the art and you would like to purchase a limited edition print that goes along with it as your own reminder to step into your power, you can do so at our website. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at iempowerclub, on TikTok at iempowerclub, and of course, YouTube at iempower. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss next week's episode of I Empower. See you then.